WMAR2 News' most accurate weather team.
Well, we apologize once again for interrupting your programming, but we do have another tornado to talk about, tornado warning, to talk about here across portions of southern Cecil County as well as northern portions of Kent County. Right now, if you're extending from Rock Hall up through Chestertown, back out through the Kennedyville area and back into portions of southern Cecil County, this tornado warning will be in place, and this will go until, let me check the timing on that for you. There you go, 4:30 p.m. This will go until 4:30 p.m. So right here just south of Rock Hall, we're seeing a little bit of a notching feature right now, and this is being picked up on the Dover radar out of Delaware. This is being picked up on the Dover radar out of Delaware, and this tornado warning is in place from the National Weather Service up there in Mount Holly as well as Philadelphia. Right now, if you're around Gratitude, I want you to take your tornado precautions as necessary. We'll flip this over to velocity mode, and you'll actually be able to see if we're not getting a tornado here, we're most likely getting some very, very healthy winds that will be coming down and most likely pushing to the surface. We'll pull this out just a little bit, and you can see some of these brighter shades of green that are coming across the bay, these lighter shades of white. This is some very gusty winds, and that's where we're picking up on the rotation, just basically west of Eadsville right now, west of Eadsville. But if you extend from Rock Hall up through Eadsville, down on Main Street there in Chestertown, we want you to take your tornado precautions as necessary. So what do we mean by tornado safety precautions? Well, we want you to protect yourself with all of the walls around you, as many walls as possible. We want you to take shelter in a low-level room or a basement or a bathroom. If you're in a car, find a ditch or a sturdy structure and abandon that car. Or even if you're in a mobile home, we want you to go into a very sturdy structure with all of the walls around you, whether it's a hallway or a bathroom or an innermost closet. If you don't have a basement, act immediately, crouch down. These storms have had a history of putting down some very gusty winds. So we'll go back into radar mode here. Baltimore points west, you're in the clear. Harford County, northern portions of Baltimore County, as well as down across portions of Anne Arundel County, you're in the clear. The storm of concern is just south of Betterton right now, over towards Kennedyville, the big farm out there where they have a lot of the Savage running races, as well as the mud runs. Once you take shelter immediately, if you're in Kennedyville, you probably have another 5 to 10 minutes here out through portions of Cleaver's Corner, through the Lynch area. We'll go further south down to Chestertown. You're right on the edge of this polygon, even up towards Crumpton. I don't want you to let your guard down. Even up towards Crumpton, we want you to take shelter immediately. Fairleigh, up through Haynesville, over to through Great Oak, Tolchester Beach, out through Sandy Bottom. Take shelter immediately. So the tornado warning is going to continue here until 4:30. Right now it is 4:06, so we'll be in coverage here with you until this tornado warning is expired. This is issued from the National Weather Service up in Mount Holly as well as Philadelphia, and that tornado warned storm is being picked up on the Dover radar site. We're getting it right here where we're seeing this kink just south of Rock Hall. And if you're not getting a tornado here, you're most likely getting a good blast of wind. We'll flip you over to velocity mode here where you see the reds and the greens. And where we're getting this nice bright shading of green, that's showing up. That's going to be pushing up towards Eadsville and Rock Hall. That's coming across the Chesapeake Bay right now. Those are some very, very gusty winds. And we're also getting a little bit of rotation now just showing up south of Fairleigh. The Dover radar site is actually picking up on that just south of Fairleigh. We'll be on the lookout for this along portions of 301 as well as just south of Fairleigh and over towards the Eadsville area. You can see a little bit of rotation there, a couple little brighter pixels showing up, and even around the Gratitude area. Gratitude over to Rock Hall right now. I want you in your safe spot. All of the walls around you. Once again, if it's not a tornado here, you're going to be getting some very gusty winds that are going to be blowing through here upwards of 60 miles per hour. So right now in Rock Hall, you can see that little notching feature just showing up right around Rock Hall. We'll put the radar into now mode where it doesn't loop there. You can see once again just south of Eadsville, getting another kink on the southern extension. This is going to be coming into northern portions of Queen Anne's County. And where we're seeing these kinks, we're getting a little bit of rotation from time to time, even out towards Love Point, coming back across the bay, around the Stevensville area. In these kinks, this is where we're seeing some rotation from time to time on the radar, especially in the upper levels above the surface, and that's why those tornado warnings have been issued off to the north across portions of Kent, Cecil, and northern portions of Queen Anne's County. So Stevensville right now seeing some very heavy stuff coming into Kent Island, out through Kent Narrows, over towards the Chester and Graysonville area, back along portions of 301 and 50. You go further south into portions of Talbot County, also getting in on the action. We'll pull out the radar once again. We'll go up to the north on the storm that has the tornado warning in place. Our friends in Betterton, our friends in Chestertown, our friends in Rock Hall, I want you to take your tornado safety precautions as necessary. You get up here towards Still Pond, back along portions of 301 as well as 297 here, and back out through portions of the Haynesville area over towards Fairleigh. Once again, tornado warning is in place until 4:30 p.m. We want you to take your tornado safety precautions as necessary with all of the walls around you. And that's a very sharp edge on the storm as it starts to push over here into portions of Kent and Queen Anne's County and extreme southern portions of Cecil County. Very sharp edge, and we're getting some kinks up here just basically west of Betterton, some kinks west of Betterton. Once again, we'll pull this out and you'll be able to see the warnings where they are right now. Not seeing too much in the way of hail here. It's more in the way of wind. Cecil County, Kent County, portions of Queen Anne's County, Cecil County right now, even eastern portions of Harford County, Havre de Grace up there towards Concord Point Lighthouse along 95 as you get up towards the Hayden Bridge, coming across the Hayden Bridge right now, even over into portions of Cecil County, right around Turkey Point Lighthouse. I want you to take your tornado safety precautions as necessary, coming out of Elkton over to Northeast, down through Elk Ranch over to Chesapeake City, down through the Cecilton area. Severe thunderstorm warnings in place for you, but the extreme southern portion of Cecil County and much of Kent County right now underneath a tornado warning. That tornado warning will go until 4:30 p.m. Until 4:30 p.m. Our friends in Gratitude, Eadsville right now up towards Remington Farms, right around Rock Hall. You can see that kink will come in a little tighter here in now mode, right around where the kink is. And if you're on East Sharp Street, coming out of Rock Hall around Sharpstown, very beautiful area there in Rock Hall. We want you in your tornado safety areas right now, and along portions of 495 here coming up through the Gratitude area. You can see that kink, and we'll go into velocity mode, and we should be able to pick up on some of the very gusty winds. Most likely seeing a lot of bright green here, a lot of bright green, indicative of those very, very gusty winds. You can see those pixels showing up just north of Sharpstown. This is rolling towards Eadsville, coming out of Rock Hall, and that's where we're seeing that center of circulation. We'll pull this out just a smidgen. You get up towards Sandy Bottom, just south of Fairleigh. You can see right along this line on the southern extension of this warning, we're getting a little bit of rotation from time to time, but we're also getting some very, very gusty winds. And these gusty winds are going to be plowing up towards the Chestertown area. That's why the warning is going to continue until 4:30 p.m. And we're going to stay with you until the warning expires. So Sandy Bottom, up through Langford, over towards Tolchester Beach, right now getting hammered pretty hard with some very gusty winds, getting even a little bit of rotation showing up out ahead of that line. But for the most part, this looks to be strong gusty winds and not a tornado, because we're seeing a very sharp edge here with a couple little kinks embedded as you get up towards Rock Hall, out to the Eadsville area, right here and particularly down towards Rock Hall. This is why the warning has been issued. It's this kink right here that we're picking up at the Dover radar site coming out of Gratitude over towards Rock Hall. This will be pushing up towards Eadsville. Even if you're not in this tornado warning, you're going to see some sort of severe weather as this line continues to push east. We'll pull out the wider view, and our friends up and down the eastern shore right now from southern Cecil County, eastern portions of Harford County, down into portions of Queen Anne's County, you're going to get hammered with some sort of wind and some sort of very heavy rainfall. Storm of concern, though, up there towards Chestertown. Even here on the southern extension, our friends down there in Stevensville coming across the Bay Bridge right now, it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fun with these gusty winds. So you're outside the polygon for the tornado warning, but you're still underneath a severe thunderstorm warning with the possibility of a little bit of rotation, but the main threat here is going to be gusty winds as well as very heavy rainfall. So Queen Anne Colony right now getting hammered with some very heavy rain and a few lightning bolts. Kent Island Estates, same thing. Up towards the Chester area, further off to the south of this as you get down towards the St. Michael's area, across portions of 50 down into Easton, seeing some very heavy rain and also some very heavy wind over towards Tillman, out through Avalon, along portions of 33 down there towards the Lighthouse, also getting in on some very heavy rain and wind. So we'll go out to a wider view here, and then we'll show you the tornado safety precautions as necessary. Want to let you know that Baltimore points west, the tornado watch has expired. So Carroll County, you're in the clear. Frederick County, you're in the clear. Howard and Montgomery County, there is no tornado watch that is left in these areas points west, and the rain is over with as you get out towards Hagerstown. But your tornado safety tips for our folks that have the tornado warning in place: southern Cecil County, portions of Kent County, northern portions of Queen Anne's County. We want you to take shelter in the lowest level of your home, the basement or the bathroom. If you're in a car, abandon it. It's common sense because that will go flying if a tornado comes. We want you to find a ditch or a sturdy structure to get into and put as many walls between you and the tornado as possible. The reason why we say that, even if you don't have a basement, if you have a hallway to go into, say you're at school or you're at work in the office space, we want you to get into a hall or a bathroom with all the walls around you. There's no windows there, so it's less of a probability to get hit by some flying debris. And we always want you to act immediately when a warning is issued. We don't come on TV or social media to let you know about a warning and then nothing is going to happen. That's why we give you these safety tips to take heed to. So once again, points west, there's nothing going on. The watches have expired. The storm of concern, though, right now, our friends in Kent County. If you're up towards Kennedyville, they're at the farms where they do have the Savage races, the mud runs up here towards Kennedyville. I want you to take your safety precautions as necessary. You go back over towards Hepburn as well as Still Pond. Here seeing the tornado warning in place. Nothing going on in these areas just yet, but it's not too far off. You can see a very sharp edge coming out of Copeland, very sharp edge going down through Haynesville, over towards Fairleigh right now. Very, very gusty winds out of this storm system, even towards the Eadsville area. And Rock Hall, looks like most of the action has finished up. You're on the southern extension of the Polygon box back up through the Gratitude area. So it looks like it's starting to finish up here. The worst of it looks to be east of town. East of town, Sharpstown right now in it. And this storm is also pushing off to the northeast at 30 miles per hour. We'll put a track on some of the cities impacted here within the warning box. Once again, the warning is going to go until 4:30. Right now it is 4:15 on the clock, so we have another 15 minutes to go. And we'll put a track from Eadsville up towards the Langford area, and you'll be able to see once again Eadsville, Langford up towards Sandy Bottom, Langford about 4:30, Remington Farms about 4:23 p.m. We'll go back in the velocity mode here real quickly. We're going to take a look at what's going on upstairs, and you can see there's a lot of bright shades of green. So we're getting a lot of wind out of this, gusting upwards of 50, maybe 60, even 70 miles per hour as this storm plows off to the northeast. Langford, I want you in your safe spot right now. You may not be seeing the rain, but the wind should definitely be pushing your way. Langford and eventually up towards Chestertown. Where we're seeing these brighter shades of green, that's where the wind is pushing out of the cloud down to the surface, or at least trying to push down to the surface. As we look over the last 30 minutes, you can just see how the storm has exploded as it pushed up towards portions of Sandy Bottom out through Eadsville and over towards Langford. We'll pull out a wider view so you can see the expansiveness of the Polygon box of who is available and who is in and who is out right now in Rock Hall, out through Eadsville, Sandy Bottom, over towards Langford right now. Tornado warning is going to continue until 4:30 p.m. We'll go over to Weather Graphics 1. We'll go over to Weather Graphics Computer 1. It looks like we're having a little bit of an issue here with Weather Graphics 2. Weather Graphics Computer 1, you can see the extension of the line coming down from the bay, and it's more of a conglomerated line. We're not seeing cells out ahead of the line, and that's a little bit of good news for us. When we get those cells that pop out ahead of the line, that's where we could run into some more problems, especially since we had a little bit of sunshine today. But it looks like our line has grouped from southern portions of Lancaster County, eastern portions of Harford County, as well as northern portions of Cecil County. Our friends right now up towards Rising Sun, getting back up through the Elkton area, back out through Elk Neck State Park, over towards Turkey Point Lighthouse, Concord Point Lighthouse right now coming out of Havre de Grace, jumping over the bay, most likely seeing a little bit of white cappage there underneath the Hayden Bridge, as well as the Titans Memorial Bridge, down through Fairleigh right now over towards Tolchester Beach. Tornado warning once again up towards the Chestertown area. That's going to go until 4:30. We'll give you the velocities once again on this storm, and then we'll take a little bit of a further tour off to the south. I want to show you what's going on with the wind. You can see the little kinkages here, and that's where we're seeing some of that rotation. So there's the bright spot. That's actually outside of the Polygon box, and we're picking up now Dover radar, and you can see where it's bright just south and west of Chestertown, just south and west of Chestertown. Probably going to get hit with some decent wind here, upwards of 60, maybe even 70 miles per hour. That's going to push into town, and this is getting closer to the radar site. So the radar site, the beam goes up in elevation, so the closer and closer you get, the better view that you have of the storm. So Langford right now, hopefully you're in that safe spot there in Langford, pushing up towards the Chestertown area. A good blast of wind is getting ready to head your way. A good blast of wind. You can see Foxley Manor over towards Chestertown along portions of 213 there, as well as up to the Meltota area. Foxley Mill up towards Morgnot, excuse me. You'll be seeing some of this, and around the Kennedyville area. Not seeing the rotation couplet near you up towards Kennedyville, but still you're in the tornado warning polygon box. That will go until 4:30. Right now it is at 4:15, so I'd say in the next 10 minutes, this storm will be on your doorstep there in Kennedyville. These are moving at an average speed roughly about out of the northeast at 30 to as much as 40 miles per hour. And they're picking up a little bit of speed as they cross over the bay here on the southern extension. You can see all the severe thunderstorm warnings pretty much up and down the eastern shore. Everybody underneath a severe thunderstorm warning points west out through the district up towards Baltimore, northern portions of Baltimore County, Carroll County, Frederick County. You're out of the tornado watch. Things have been canceled. So tornado warning once again, that's going to go until 4:30. You're going to check on the Weather Service chat here real quickly. And we do have a couple severe thunderstorm warnings in place for Caroline as well as portions of Cecil, Kent, and Queen Anne's County. That will go until 4:30, as well as severe thunderstorm warnings back into portions of Pennsylvania. So we'll go over to Weather Graphics 2, and you'll be able to see here up on the northern extension of the line, our friends up towards Havre de Grace. Havre de Grace, you're starting to finish up with the worst of the activity. Got another 10 to 15 minutes to go, and this should be out of there. You get up towards northeast, though, our friends up in northeast, as well as down across portions of Elkton over towards Singletary, and even over towards the Pembroseville area. Pembroseville up here in northern portions of Cecil County around Warwick, up through Fair Hill at the fairgrounds, up towards Fair Hill, and down through Blue Ball. You're seeing some of those very, very heavy bands of rain and also some very gusty winds. This is up towards Calvert. Rising Sun, you're finishing up here at the moment along portions of 1 as well as 272 coming back into portions of northeast and then down 1 towards Conowingo Dam. It looks like the worst of it is over. We'll go back into portions of Kent County, though, and southern portions of Cecil County are a warning of concern. You can see the lightning bolts showing up now just west of Betterton. Betterton, I want you in your safe spot right now. All of the walls around you. Coleman getting a decent gust of wind, a little bit of a notch. Just west of Betterton right now, so a little circulation there. Good blast of wind that's going to be rolling towards Still Pond, and then we'll go further south where we did have a lot of action here on the southern extension. Our friends in Chestertown, right here on the edge of the screen, our friends in Chestertown, I want you in your safe spot. All of the walls around you. We'll go to the velocity mode. Tornado warning is going to continue until 4:30. It is 4:21 right now on the clock. Chestertown, the wind is right on your doorstep, if not there already. The wind is right on your doorstep, if not there already. You can see these brighter shades of green showing up. The pixels here, the brighter shades. This is going to be plowing into the Chestertown area within the next 5 to 10 minutes. So all of the walls around you, even if you're down here in Wilmers or even out through Rolfs, out through Churchill, back up through Ewingville, you may be outside the tornado warning, but you're still going to get hammered with some very, very gusty winds. Same thing for our friends in Crumpton, as well as Millington, back up through the Massey area. You could be up next. So tornado warning, once again, it ends up here towards Lamstonville. Kennedyville, you're included in this. Got a little notch just west of Betterton. And also a notch down through the Chestertown area. And that's where we're seeing some of the rotation aloft with the radar, but most likely just getting some very, very gusty straight line winds showing up. We'll go further south down along the line. Our friends in Centerville, heads up. This is on your doorstep. It's plowing in right now. It's coming through Graysonville with some very gusty winds, as well as some small hail. And then even further south, we still have those severe thunderstorm warnings in place until the top of the 5 o'clock hour, and those are for portions of Caroline, as well as southern Kent, northern Queen Anne's, and portions of Talbot County. So our friends in Denton, as well as Greensboro, you're going to be under the gun even out through Rustburg and over towards Federalsburg, where we did have the tornado last Sunday out towards the Federalsburg area there in eastern portions of Maryland. So a wider view, our viewing audience that is back out towards Baltimore City, as well as Harford County, northern portions of Baltimore County, down into portions of Howard and Montgomery, over through Carroll and Frederick County. You're in the clear. If you're west of Baltimore, on this map, even west of Bel Air right now, it looks like things are settling down. It's just rain at the moment. The line has advanced over the bay. And it looks like the worst of the weather for many locations, including the eastern shore, will most likely come to an end here at the top of the hour, at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. So until 4:30, we do have the tornado warning off to the north. We'll go back to that. We'll put the radar in now mode. And right now in Chestertown, a little notch just south of town, and a couple notches up there towards Betterton. Our friends in Kennedyville, down at the farms there in Kennedyville, we want you to take your tornado safety precautions as necessary. Even up here towards Cleaver's Corner, over through Lynch. This is coming in. We'll pull in the velocity modes here real quickly. Want to check on the wind, and you can see this is a solid stripe of light green, with some very, very bright green. That's down here towards Chestertown, and these are some very gusty winds. But even just south of Chestertown, getting these similar returns on the velocities here with the very gusty winds that will be plowing up towards Chestertown, out through Foxley Manor, anywhere along the 301 corridor to get back into portions of Delaware. You'll be on the lookout for this, and then you come up across portions of the eastern shore here through Cleaver's Corner and southern portions of Cecil County up towards the Warwick and Pembroseville area north of Kennedyville. You'll be looking at these winds rolling your way. So we have a new tornado warning, it looks like here on the board, a new tornado warning, and I'm going to assume that is for portions of Cecil County. As for southern portions of Cecil County, that's till 5 o'clock. So we're going to be hanging with you now until 5 o'clock. Our viewing audience in Cecil County, Cecil and northern Kent, at 4:23 p.m., a severe thunderstorm warning capable of producing a tornado was located over Betterton. So our friends in Betterton, we'll zoom in and put it in the now mode there in Betterton. We're near Aberdeen Proving Ground. These storms are booking it as well. They're moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. Our friends in Betterton will put a couple of streets on here for you, and we'll give you a better view. So right now, if you're along Royal Swan Road, out through the Coleman area, just north of Still Pond, and then you come down along portions of 292 here. Tornado warning is going to be in place for southern portions of Cecil County. I'm going to pull this out a little bit. We're going to put the velocities on here, and we're going to see if we can find where the couplets may be or where we're getting some of these brighter returns. So you can see it's a solid line of bright green that's showing up. So we're definitely getting the wind here, but at times we get up towards the Betterton area, we're getting these little notching features that show up just east of Betterton, right now over Chest Haven, these brighter shades of green that are meeting up with the red. That's why that tornado warning has been extended in the southern portions of Cecil County. So if you're watching us right now in Cecilton, if you're watching us right now in Chesapeake Beach, we want you to take your tornado safety precautions as necessary. We'll pull those up for you. We want all the walls around you. So when a tornado warning is issued for your area, we want you to take shelter immediately. We want you to act immediately, crouch down, and protect your head. Put something over your head, whether it's a blanket or a cushion. If you have a bike helmet nearby, that also works. Put as many walls between you and the tornado as possible. If you're in a car, abandon it, find a ditch or a sturdy structure, but take shelter in the lowest level of your home, a basement or a bathroom. If you don't have a basement, a bathroom, a closet will work, and have something to protect your head, something to cover over your head, and act immediately. We'll go back into the radar real quickly here, a wide view of the radar, and we'll show you once again our friends to the west of Baltimore, our friends really to the west of Harford County right now, northern portions of Baltimore County out through Carroll County down through Howard, as well as southern portions of Anne Arundel County. You are in the clear. The mess is over here in the eastern shore, and you can see the kinks along this line, the kinks and bows, where we get the bowing that is south of Chestertown. That's wind. It's the northern half of this line that's posing us the problems, where we have the tornado warning in Cecil County as well as portions of northern Kent County. So tornado warning is just basically east of northeast. But our friends in northeast, you may not be here in the polygon, but I want you to take shelter immediately. Same thing up here towards Elkton. Our friends in Elkton, out through Elk Neck State Park, over towards Turkey Point. In downtown Elkton right now, you come across portions of 7 as well as 40. 7 and 40 right now, usually busy this time of day on the ride home. Tornado warning for you that will go until about 5 o'clock. And this butts up right against the Delaware-Maryland state line as you get up there towards the toll booth, towards Newark, as well as Christiana Mall. So further south, we go south of Elkton. Once again, Elk Ranch Park, Town Point, Chesapeake City, Westview Shores. We'll put this in the now mode, and you'll be able to see from Red Point. You can see this kind of kink, this large kink. That's where we're getting the rotation. We're picking that up on the Dover radar site. If you're around Westview Shores, and just basically right now east of Betterton in this area right here that we're circling where the two warnings kind of overlap each other. That's where we have that tornado warning, and maybe that's where we're seeing a little bit of rotation. Likely, though, seeing some very gusty winds along this line. These are rolling into Kennedyville as well as out through Cleaver's Corner, down through the Chestertown area. It looks like the worst is now starting to work its way out of Chestertown, even down through Ewingville and Church Hill. Got a decent bowing feature showing up with those gusty winds. So we're going to put the velocities on, and we'll go right back through this segment again, and you can see very gusty winds now just basically east of Church Hill, rolling up towards Ewingville. There's the last scan, and we're getting a little bit of rotation even here outside the tornado warning. Dudley Corner takes shelter immediately. Pondtown takes shelter immediately. Same thing up there in Weldman and off to the south. You can see once again. So there's some of that bowing that we're getting. We're getting some extremely gusty winds rolling towards the radar site there in Dover. We'll go further north, back up towards the Chestertown area. You can see the brighter shades of green now working through Cleaver's Corner. They're already through Kennedyville. Still want you in your safe spot in Kennedyville. Tornado warning is going to continue until 4:30, until the bottom of the hour there in Kennedyville. Crumpton, I want you in your safe spot as well. And then you get up here towards Chesterville. Going to be seeing these gusty winds roll your way. We'll go further north up the extension of this line. Heads up Cecilton, heads up Cecilton. Got some very gusty winds rolling out of Westview Shores. These came through the Betterton area. Not seeing any reports of any damage just yet on the Weather Service chat, but Red Point all the way down through Westview Shores, pushing up towards Town Point and eventually up towards Elkton. Tornado warning is going to continue until 5 o'clock. Northeast, it looks like the worst of it is now coming through the area right now, down on Main Street there in Northeast, pushing back along 7 as well as 40 into Elkton as well as Singularity. Going to be seeing some of this and then back up towards the Delaware-Maryland line there where you catch the toll booth, going up along 95 towards Newark, Cowantown, our friends in Pembroseville, Hunting Hill, over towards Winding Brook Village, over towards the Warwick area, underneath that tornado warning until 5 o'clock. Iron Hill also included in this. Tornado warning until 5 o'clock. So you can see the extension of the wind up here to the north, a little bit straighter in the complexity of that line, a little bit straighter, and then we get these kinks here on the bottom, where we're seeing that sharp kink, this concave kink on the edges of this, just south of Red Point, and just basically southwest of Cecilton on the edges, now over towards Fredericktown as well as Shorewood, we want you to take your tornado safety precautions as necessary. So it looks like our warning will go further south. We'll check to see, since it is 4:31 now, the warning that was across portions of southern Kent County has been canceled. The warning that is across southern portions of Kent County has been canceled. So we're just left over with this warning now for extreme northern portions of Kent County as well as portions of Cecil County, most of Cecil County underneath the tornado warning. So Westview Shores over through Hazelmore, it looks like most of this is out. We do have some hail that it looks like the hail core is starting to drift on the backside of the storm coming across the bay. This may be a little old with the radar data, but we'll be looking out for some pea-sized hail here around Betterton as you get it back up through the Chest Haven area. Even down towards Lynch and over towards Still Pond. This will be rolling towards the farms up there in Kennedyville. Still Pond, Lynch, you get back out through Haynesville and back into portions of the bay itself. It looks like the worst is over. Kennedyville, you're still seeing this. Betterton, you're still seeing this. One thing I don't like is that notch. It's more progressive here. That's just east of Betterton. It's more progressive. You can see the inflow notch of the storm, and when we go back into the velocity modes, you'll most likely see that as well, where we're getting in the mix of the reds and the greens. The town that is right underneath that tornado placard right there, that would be, Earlville. Earlville, I want you to take your tornado safety precautions as necessary. Same thing in Frederick County and Cecilton. It looks like this is just going to cut north and east of town. This is going to cut north and east of the town, but we want you to take your tornado safety precautions as necessary. Same thing up towards Hack Point, St. Augustine, out through Bohemian Mills, and eventually crossing over into Delaware. Chesapeake City, heads up. We got a bowing feature here of some very gusty winds, the brighter shades of green meeting up with the red. That's where we're getting some of those winds, but it's this notching that we see that's just basically east of Ceciltown, this notching is where we're picking up on the rotation, and that's why that tornado warning is in place until 5 o'clock. South of Fredericktown over towards Galena, right now a little spot of rotation there, even near Chesterville Forest. Getting some gusty winds along this southern extension up through Crumptown, Pondville. You're not underneath a tornado warning, severe thunderstorm warning for you. That will continue until the top of the hour. Watching a little rotation now showing up, or at least a good blast or a downburst of wind just south of Pondtown over towards Dudley Corner, and even around the Weldman area. It's starting to finish up. Sudlersville heads up. This will be rolling your way along the 301 corridor here very shortly, and then crossing over with our friends neighboring there in Delaware. We're going to pull you out wider for our friends and audience across much of the metro at this moment. We do have a lot of wind reports now showing up across the bay. I actually have one report of damage up here. It looks like across portions of northern Baltimore County, Jarrettsville area, tree down along Moncton Road. So these storms have had a history of packing winds. Also, another report down here. It looks like northern portions of down across portions of Montgomery County into portions of Prince George's County. New Carrollton there had a little bit of wind damage report. North Potomac and Montgomery, a couple trees down as well as some power lines down that way. So we'll likely see more of these as people start to come home from work and school. But right now, the main concern looks to be across portions of the eastern shore. Baltimore points west. Tornado watch has been allowed to expire. It was supposed to expire at 9 o'clock this evening, but the storms came through a little bit quicker, and it looks like things for the most part are going to be finished up here once we get towards the 5 o'clock newscast. But up to the north, tornado warning still in place for portions of Cecil County. Our friends up here, Cecil County, around the Betterton area. It looks like the worst is east of Betterton, Chesapeake City, northeast up towards Turkey Point Lighthouse, Elk Neck State Park, over towards Town Point around the Randalia area, and Chesapeake City. We'll be watching these storms. There's getting a couple storms now that are jutting out ahead of the line, so we'll pull this out a little bit wider. And you can see right around St. Augustine, there's a storm that's popping out, and these will get sucked in. These will get sucked into the main line here. We'll put this into now mode. Tornado warning once again. Southern portions of Cecil, northern portions of Kent County, north of Massey. Betterton, you're still included in this. South of Elkton, still included in this. And right now, the key area of concern is just west of Cecilton, where we're still seeing that little bit of a notching feature here. A notching feature, Earlville, and once you're in your tornado safety spots. We'll go to those safety tips here. Once again, all of the walls around you, as many walls as possible. And we want you to act immediately. So take shelter in a low-level room, a basement, or a bathroom. If you're in a car, abandon it. Find a ditch or a sturdy structure and put as many walls between you and the tornado as possible. Act immediately, of course, and crouch down and protect your head. If you have a bike helmet nearby, that works pretty good as well. So we'll go back into radar mode. Baltimore points west. We're good. We're starting to finish up down on the southern extension of the eastern shore. It's the northern part of the eastern shore is where we have problems. Our friends in Easton, our friends down in Cambridge, out through Bucktown. It looks like the storms are going to be cruising east into Delaware here in the next 30 minutes. Easton finishing up, Centerville finishing up, Chestertown, you're out of it. Heads up Sudlersville. This is headed your way. Massey also starting to see a little bit of a notch just east of Crumpton, likely seeing some gusty straight line winds here. It'll be plowing up towards the Massey area, out through Delaney Corner, even over towards Millington. Our friends in Millington, you'll be looking out for those gusty winds as well. We'll go further north back into the tornado warning. Around Fredericktown, Cecilton, this is basically right on top of you. And that tornado warning up even towards the Elkton area. Elkton getting in on some very heavy rain, some very heavy wind, and even down through Fairhill, back into portions of Lancaster as well as Berks County. So wider view, once again, down along the eastern shore. We'll go into portions of Cecil County. Once again, tornado warning until 5 o'clock. Our friends in Cecilton as well as Chesapeake City. This warning is going to continue until the top of the hour. The storm is right on your doorstep. We'll switch over to velocity mode. We'll check things out with the wind. And you can see the brighter shades of green meeting up with the red, but this is a solid line. We're not getting a mixture of the two. Little kink here near Hack Point, little kink down towards Cecilton. Most likely seeing some straight line wind gusts plowing up towards the radar, and even down here towards Fredericktown, coming over towards Sassafras right now, seeing that tornado warning continuing until 5 o'clock. So some very gusty winds right now. It is 4:38 on the clock. It is 4:38 on the clock. We'll continue here with you until 5 o'clock, just south of Massey right now, until south of Massey, south and west of Massey, over towards Chesterville Forest, and even down through the Millington area, down through Millington over to Peters Corner, and coming through Sudlersville, some very, very gusty winds rolling on through. So a wider view of this velocity chart, and you'll actually be able to see the straightness, or the little kinks here showing up from time to time, but the straightness of the wind as it plows into the radar site there in Dover. So we're not that high up on the beam coming out of Delaware. We're not that high up, but you can see the little kinks from time to time here on the wider view, and that's actually why the tornado warning has been issued. From time to time, you get the kinks in the line. There's a little bit of rotation that goes on. The question is, does it make it to the surface or not? In most cases, it doesn't make it to the surface. It's more in the way of straight line winds, but sometimes it can get to the surface, and that's when you can have a tornado happen. And that's why we tell you to take those safety precautions as necessary, whether it's a tornado warning or even a severe thunderstorm warning, because these storms are packing a history of some very gusty winds. So Chesapeake City right now still wants you in your safe spot. Cecilton, as you get back into portions of eastern portions of Cecil County, getting ready to hop over towards Middletown, Delaware, down around the Massey area, we still have severe thunderstorm warnings in place for you with possible tornado texts. Those will go until the top of the area. That includes Millington right now, seeing some very strong gusty winds rolling into downtown Millington. Here's some very gusty winds. That's going to roll towards Peacock Corners, and then you get back out into portions of Delaware, where it's a little bit more rural here across portions of Kent, as well as portions of northern portions of Caroline County. But you can see how it's bowed out once again coming out of Sudlersville, this bowing feature, this straight edge bow that you see rolling towards Peters Corners. That's gusty winds, 40 to 60 miles per hour at best, and that's going to be moving towards Everett's Corner before hopping the line into portions of Delaware. Back up the line we go. The main concern, why we're with you right now here over programming, is the tornado warning that's still in place. Our friends over here in Warwick, out through Pembroseville, right here on the line. Temperatures today in the 70s. We had some humidity, some dew points that were up in the 60s, a lot of wind blowing aloft, creates just enough spin in the atmosphere along this line. This storm is headed towards you. It looks like we're getting a little bit more rotation up here on the northern extension of the beam. The beam is up a little higher in height here, just near Bohemius Mills. We're getting some of that rotation showing up there just south of St. Augustine, as that inflow notch swallows in that storm that jumped out ahead of the main line. So south of K-Yachts over towards Bohemius Mill, a little bit of rotation showing up just west of town, along Middlebrook Road, and then back across portions up towards Hack Point along 213 here, Maryland 213. We do have the tornado warning until 5 o'clock. It looks like the worst of this is coming out of Town Point, out of K-Yachts and over towards Hack Point. St. Augustine, get ready. Chesapeake City, get ready. Randalia, get ready as well for some gusty winds. But you can see further up the line, a little bit of rotation even just south of Elkton, a little bit showing up just south of Elkton where we're getting the brighter shades, but we're going higher up on the beam at this point, that's coming out of Dover, Delaware at this point. So a lot of this is looking more like wind compared to tornado, but still going to stick with you here until 5 o'clock with the tornado warning. That includes Iron Hill, northern portions of Cecil County. It looks like just plain old wind and very, very heavy rain. We'll go back into the regular radar view. And what we do have right now is a conglomeration of storms that are starting to come together. So we have the storms. We have what's called cell merging here. We have one storm that's across northern portions of Delaware, and you can see there's little kinks along the way, these little curly Q kinks along the way, and that's where we're getting the rotation as these storms start to jump the line into Delaware. They can have it. We don't want it here in Maryland anymore for the rest of this evening. Newark over to Elkton, out through Glasgow, Elk Ranch Park, Chesapeake City. We're starting to get that storm getting sucked into that notch that was out towards the St. Augustine area just north of town. Further south of Hack Point, you can see there's another little curly Q showing up there. Another little curly Q that bumped out of Cecilton. Sassafras right now starting to see it. Starting to see the action. Goits You'll be seeing some of this rolling your way. Goit's out here right on the Maryland-Delaware line and coming out of Massey right now, out towards the Massey-Sudlersville area. Some very, very gusty winds. So we'll go back in the velocity mode. We'll pull you out a wider view of the velocity mode here. And you can see kind of a close-up view. Look at that, the curlicue that's showing up, and then you get a little bit of a bow and then a kind of a curlicue. It looks like a giant S or a giant snake that's snaking through portions of Cecil as well as northern portions of Kent County. That snake within those bows as well as those curvatures is where we're seeing the gusty winds, and we're also seeing a little bit of an instance of rotation from time to time. So we'll go back up to the north here on the velocity charts, and you can see once again Elkton down through Chesapeake City, just south of Chesapeake City, right here towards the Cecilton area, just west of Cecilton. You can see a little bit of that rotation showing up towards Bohemius Mill. We want you to go into your safety spot as necessary, even over towards Warwick, just north of Warwick right now, between Warwick back up towards the Pembroseville area north of Sassafras. A little bit of rotation couplet there showing up as well as this starts to hop the line into Delaware. So the warning goes until 5 o'clock. Right now it is 4:40 p.m. It is 4:40 p.m. on the dot, so we got another 20 minutes here on the warning. It looks like the storms are actually going to outrace the warning box. They're moving northeast at 45. They're moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. And you can see how the extension of this drops down from Elkton back into portions of northern Kent County, southern portions of Cecil County, and then you go further south into portions of Caroline County. But the main concern is the tornado warning that's still on the board. That's why we're with you here on television right now. North of Millington still getting in on this. Marydale getting in on some heavy action, but the storm's starting to outrace the polygon box. It looks like that couplet just west of Middletown, Delaware, that couplet right there. You'll be able to see that, and that'll be rolling off to the east here north of Warwick right now. Our viewers up in Warwick and south of portions of Elkton. South of Elkton, this storm is going to continue to race your way south of St. Augustine as well. This little couplet right here, that's where we're seeing the rotation. For the most part, it looks like the velocities have broadened out somewhat along the main line, and it's more of a rain and wind type of event. So Cecilton, Earlville, still seeing those winds, but right here, right along the Maryland-Delaware line, right around Warwick back up to Bohemius Mills, a little bit of a couplet here along Old Middletown Road showing up here, right here, this little instance. And this is the kind of rural area out here in the farm fields of portions of Cecil as well as northern portions of Kent County. Wider view, once again, we'll pull this out a little bit for you. Baltimore, you're in the clear. Out across portions of Carroll as well as Harford County, it's good to go. Further west you go in the western mountains of Maryland, the rain is over with. Down towards D.C., the rain is over with. You can see, though, we have had some wind reports, even one wind report there south of town, south of Baltimore. That was out towards the Benfield area. Some trees down on some power lines on Gambrills Road. Some trees down on power lines there on Gambrills Road, and a couple wind reports up there towards the Jarrettsville area. A tree down along Moncton Road. So a couple trees down today. So these storms have had that history of packing the winds, and it looks like our tornado warning is still in place for Cecil County. Extreme eastern portions of Cecil County, that's going to go for another couple of minutes here. It looks like they trimmed it back. Somewhat. And it looks like that couplet, once again, down here towards Warwick, just south of Chesapeake City, over towards Bohemius Mills and west of Middletown. So this is really our only storm of concern. Our other friends down the eastern shore, it looks like things are starting to settle down for you across portions of Queen and Anne's County. It looks like the winds have spread out somewhat, and it's more of a heavy rain type of event, not seeing too much in the way of lightning strikes. Sudlersville, looks like things are finishing up. Marydale, you're up next, out through Goldsboro, down through Roofsburg, over towards Federalsburg and Greensboro, where you did have the tornado out that way this past Sunday as those storms rolled on through. So it looks like things are starting to quiet down on the southern extension, although these severe thunderstorm warnings are still going to go until the 5 o'clock hour. Once we get past 5 o'clock, this is gone. It's gone for everybody, even down here along southern Maryland. So things are wrapping up pretty quickly. Friends out there, Ocean City, Salisbury area, you'll see these showers and storms rolling your way within the next hour. We'll go back up to that storm of concern. Once again, Baltimore, you're good. Out through Westminster, Carroll County, it's okay there, but it's the storm that right now is south of Elkton, over towards Chesapeake City, back down through the Warwick area. This is the tornado warning. And that includes St. Augustine as well, and Bohemians Mills. This is going to go until 5 o'clock. We'll switch over to velocity mode. We'll see if we see anything there. It looks like the rotation has broadened out somewhat. That's some good news, but we're still seeing some gusty winds upwards of 60, maybe even 70 miles per hour. It looks like those winds are now over into Delaware, so that's even better news. Hopefully they trim that warning back before the 5 o'clock hour, but for the most part, it looks like this is mainly a wind event is what we're seeing from Elkton down through Chesapeake City, down through Randalia, over towards Warwick, and then further south along the line as it starts to cross its way into Delaware. So tornado warning until 5 o'clock, Right now on the clock, it is 4:49 p.m. It is 4:49 p.m. on the clock. We'll show you those tornado safety tips one more time. Looks like most of the weather has wrapped up over a good majority of the viewing area, which is great news. Those tornado safety tips, once again, take shelter in a low-level room, a basement, or a bathroom. If you're in a car, abandon it, find a ditch or a sturdy structure, and put as many walls between you and the tornado as possible. As many walls between you and the tornado as possible. Always act immediately when a warning is issued, whether it's a tornado warning, whether it's a severe thunderstorm warning, or even a flash flood warning. We just don't give you the data just for nothing to happen. And that's what we're kind of seeing outside today. So Baltimore, Westminster, Gaithersburg, Ballinger Creek, Hagerstown points west. It's good. Down through the district, it's a good evening. Shaping up just a couple showers that will be left over early, also turning windy. Then this line that extends from Cecil County all the way down towards Talbot County. Storm of concern still up there, Cecil County, where we do have the tornado warning. This is rolling towards Middletown, Delaware. This is coming through Chesapeake City right now. It's rocking, it's rolling, it's booming out there with the showers and storms from Town Point up to the Randalia area. Broad rotation is what we're seeing here. Broad rotation aloft, and those gusty winds upwards of 40 to 60 miles per hour. This same storm had a history of dumping a couple trees out there towards the Jarrettsville area. This is the same storm that prompted the tornado warning for them. It just crossed over the bay, and now it's creating some problems here in Cecil County. So Bohemians Mill over towards the Warwick area, right along the Maryland-Delaware line. We do have the tornado warning in place until 5 o'clock. Until 5 o'clock, a wider view for you shows out through Hack Point, out through St. Augustine, up through Town Point, up towards Chesapeake City, and just south of Elkton along 7, as well as 213 coming south along 213. Looks like things are going to start to improve. A lot of lightning bolts showing up towards the fairgrounds there, up there across portions of Cecil County around Fair Hill, and even out here back behind this storm, a lot of lightning bolts just showing up now coming across the bay, dumping into northern portions of Kent County, north of Kennedyville, coming into Betterton, and out through the Earlsville area. You'll see a couple of these lightning bolts as they work on through, but things should wrap up. Once again, as we get towards the top of the hour, all of this comes to an end, and it's Delaware's problem. It's southern New Jersey's problem. We don't have to worry about it here in Maryland. So tornado warning once again in place across portions of southern Cecil County. This will go until 5 o'clock just south of Elkton, our friends in Chesapeake City and Cecilton. If you're still tuning in with us, you can see now in Delaware, our friends in Delaware are getting those kinks. They'll most likely see a couple tornado warnings issued for them. But Chesapeake City still under the gun back up towards Warwick, and then you go further north up towards Bohemians Mills. South of Elkton, you're not in the polygon. It looks like the worst of it is now just east. The worst of it is just east of you, St. Augustine, out through Bohemians Mill and down towards the Warwick area along Old Middletown Road. North of Sassafras, still seeing those very gusty winds and some very, very heavy pockets of rain. So right now on the clock, it is 4:52 p.m. It is 4:52 p.m. We still have that tornado warning. As we reset, we'll go to a wide view, and we'll put this into motion for you, the radar, over the last 2 hours, and we'll give you the story of what has happened this afternoon. You can see the progression of these storms off to the east. They started down in the D.C. and Virginia area earlier this afternoon around 1, 2 o'clock. They came out of Charlottesville, and then they started to roar our way. We had a little bit of sunshine this afternoon. That pumped temperatures up into the mid-70s. You add the dew point factor, the stickiness, the mugginess, the frizz and poof factor with your hair. That dew point factor combined with the temperature as well as some gusty winds aloft really crank these storms through the area. So we had a couple tornado warnings out there today. No reports of any tornadoes. We've had a little bit of damage at times across northern portions of Harford County, down in northern portions of Anne Arundel County and all around the district, and then points south into Virginia. But still waiting on this line that's starting to cruise out of central portions of the eastern shore. That's great news for us. We want it out of here sooner than later, but that tornado warning is going to continue for another couple of minutes up there in Cecil County, and that's our due diligence to stay with you here on television until that warning is canceled for our area. So Cecil County right now, southern Cecil County, south of Elkton, out towards Elk Neck State Park, over towards Turkey Point. This is just east of you. Chesapeake City, it looks like the worst of it is now done. As you get out towards the Warwick area, out through Middletown, those showers and storms starting to fire and work off to the east across portions of Delaware, So Town Point, things are settling down. Randalia, things are settling down. Chesapeake City, it's going to settle down shortly. St. Augustine as well, and out through Bohemius Mill, things are starting to settle down. It looks like the worst of the storm is now over into portions of Delaware, So we'll pull back on the wider view. We'll put the velocity back on here one more time. We'll give you the wide view of the velocity, and you'll be able to see all of the wind has progressed over into portions of Delaware. We're now just seeing the brighter green widespread across portions of eastern Maryland. That's what we're seeing now rolling into portions of Delaware. So the tornado warning will go until 5 o'clock. It looks like the worst of that storm is over. We're going to check the Weather Service chat here one more time. Then we're going to pop back over with you. You can see up towards the Cockeysville area, we had some tree limbs down at the intersection of Maryland 25 Falls Road and Shawan Road. So we'll be looking into that. A couple more damage reports now showing up around the Jarrettsville area. Some trees down along Moncton Road. We also had up there across portions of Harford County numerous large limbs down through the county up towards the Jarrettsville area, and that was with that tornado-warned storm. So it looks like we'll be able to send you right here into the newscast in about 5 minutes, but for now we'll get ready to send you back over to the program. That tornado warning has expired. For portions of Cecil County. We'll flip you back over to programming here. The news starts in about 5 minutes, but for now, remember you can download our free mobile app, WMAR2 News, available at the Apple and Google Play Store. For now, we'll send you back over to programming.